2016 has been a long year. For some, it was an okay year, for others, it was pretty horrible. This year also has probably the highest number of superhero movies released within it. Those comic book movies vary in quality, however. There are the good ones, the bad ones, and the ones nobody cared about. And then come Doctor Strange, the last superhero movie of the year. Is it as awful as some movies before it? Or will it be the most amazing masterpiece in the history of modern cinema? It's okay. The movie, it's just okay. Dr. Sherlock, Stephen Strange, is one hell of a narcissistic douchebag surgeon. When a car accident rid him of his precious hands and probably everything else. Now a broken man, he travels to a place called Kamartaj in Kathmandu in search of a cure. Before we start, I have a confession to make. I am not the biggest comic book fan. Sure, I've read some from time to time, but I never really go out of my way to read them. Although that's mostly because where I live, looking for an American comic book is like looking for a strand of hay in a needle stack. It's complicated, painful, and at the end isn't worth the effort. That being said, I actually quite enjoyed this movie. It has the feel of a pre-Avengers superhero movie to it. You know, when movies can just be movies, without having to connect to a bigger shared universe. So in a sense, if you just watch this movie without any preemptive knowledge of the previous movies, you'll be perfectly fine, to be honest. They only mention the Avengers once during the entire movie, except the end credits scene where it went full-on normal MCU Easter egg mode. Wait, or was it the mid-credit scene? Nah, screw it, I don't care, that one scene after the movie ends, you know what I'm talking about. The other thing that I like was the titular character himself. Doctor Strange. Keep in mind, this is coming from a guy who only knew Doctor Strange from his appearances in Superhero Squad and once mistook him for a villain. Now, frankly speaking, he's basically just Tony Stark all over again. Think about it. A rich white douche who got screwed by life and then learned to change their douchiness and save the world? That's literally just Iron Man. Heck, both of the main actors played a version of Sherlock Holmes at one point in their career. But hey, this is a subjective review based on my opinion, and my opinion is that I like the guy. Now, you might have heard some word of mouth from the people who already watched this movie that it's visually spectacular. I am here to put those rumors to rest. Yes, Doctor Strange is a visually spectacular movie. It's like watching Inception through a church window while doing somersaults. This movie sports some breathtaking fight scenes, integrating a nice mix of CGI on top of a stellar hand-to-hand combat choreography. Oh yeah, did I mention? This movie, surprisingly, has a lot of hand-to-hand fight scenes in it, something you wouldn't really expect from a movie about sorcery and magic. Now, there is a lot of CGI in this movie, but again, they look so visually spectacular that you don't really mind, unlike some other superhero movie earlier this year. What kept this movie from being truly amazing, however, is its rather generic story. Not that there's anything wrong with generic stories, they can be great if they were executed well, but sadly this movie also fails in that regard. The progression of Doctor Strange's character is also a bit rushed. Towards the end of the movie, it felt like he went from being a rich douchebag to the best guy ever in a matter of seconds. He's also really overpowered. After he got over the initial learning curve of magic, he mastered everything rather easily, and the reason for that is that he was born for the mystic arts. He also defeats his enemies pretty easily. Even though stronger men than him have been shown to lose to said enemies, he was somehow able to defeat them by himself. Then there's the villain of the movie, whose name I can't seem to remember. He was pretty forgettable. His goals, while grand, are a bit too vague to wrap your heads around. And he never really explains his reasons well, he just does them. He's not as bad of a villain as some other villains from this year's superhero movies, but he was still very bland. His makeup was pretty cool though. Doctor Strange, while visually mind-blowing, is a pretty standard movie. It sticks to the basic MCU format a bit too close at times. If you're looking for a life-changing experience or are just bored with all these superhero movies, then this movie is probably not for you. If you are an MCU aficionado like myself, you're probably already planning to watch this movie anyway, so might as well watch it, am I right? I mean, you've watched 13 of these things by now, so what's one more? That's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching.